fine people out there in podcast land. This is episode number 128 of eBay the Right Way. Today's date is August 30th, 2023. We are heading into Labor Day weekend. Wow, that was a fast summer. My guest today is Gail in Ohio. Okay, just one announcement. You may have seen this on my Facebook group, but I wanted to let all the listeners know because there are lots of people who don't do social media. I received this message last week. Hi, Lynette, who was recently featured on your podcast, passed away of a brain bleed Thursday, August 17th. We are devastated. I am her sister-in-law. It was such a comfort to hear her voice a few nights after her death on your podcast. She was the most giving person I've ever known. Thank you for featuring her. It was such a gift to the family. We are healing, but it is difficult. She exceeded at everything she did. She loved listening to your podcast as she traveled back and forth to teach and work with doctoral students at Harding University. She taught every level of Bible classes from preschool to women's classes, including worldwide online Bible studies. She gave all of her eBay proceeds to charities and individuals around the world. 1,600 items sold and 500 in her eBay store. Such a huge loss of genius and a servant of Christ. She will be missed. I felt the need to notify you because your podcasts were such a big part of her life. And I replied with, thank you so much. I so enjoyed meeting and chatting with her. She was a lovely lady in every sense of the word. I know she will be terribly missed. And yes, I'm having a little trouble getting through this. But just so you will know, we recorded the podcast on July 25th and it aired on August 9th. She passed away a week later, and I'm so glad she was able to listen to the podcast. Lynette used the name Lydia Busceme on Facebook, so you will see many $100 supersized sales that she posted in the group and on the YouTube videos. When I read this news, I had a bit of a meltdown, and I'm sorry, I'm a little choked up here. I'm so glad that I was able to create a recording that her family can listen to forever. The eBay community has lost someone very special. I'm sorry to start off this podcast with such heavy news, but I wanted to take a moment to honor Lynette here on the podcast and remind you that life is so fragile and precious. Make every day count.
Welcome back, listeners. I have a famous person with me this week.
You're generous.
So we have Gail. And where are you located?
I am near Cleveland, Ohio, between Cleveland and Akron, Midwestern.
Okay, great. Okay, so are you Midwestern polite?
It depends on the situation. I can get New York in a minute, but I can be very, very kind and patient at times.
So yeah, for people who don't know what that means, it's like you're just polite no matter what the situation is. You might be in the emergency room bleeding to death and you're like,
right.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm messing up the floor. You know,
I don't want to bother anybody.
Right. Okay, Ohio. We've had a lot of guests from Ohio, and I hear that the thrifting and the garage sales and finding inventory is wonderful there.
It is. It's like a Garden of Eden over here. I mean, and I think America in general is just a land of abundance and very disposable. So, your ashtray gets filled in the car and you want to buy a new car. Well, I'm not like that. So, yeah, garage sales, estate sales, church sales, they're just overflowing here.
So this is August 18th. We're recording, and it's supposed to be 95 here in South Carolina. And for the foreseeable future on the extended forecast, it's 90s and above. And I'm
Nice.
so ready for fall and all these neighborhood sales. And it's just been kind of dead here because nobody wants to go outside. It's too hot.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
it's picking up. I've got my regular haunts. Once a month, I've got a church sale to go to. But today we're looking at 65, mostly sunny. Yesterday it's been raining
For the
all
high?
week. Well, right now, but I think we might hit 72.
Oh gosh.
It'll
Poor
warm
thing.
up before you know it.
Yeah, and then we have that layer of humidity here in the South. It's just suffocating. So yeah, there's that.
Yeah, that's why I keep my hair curly, no matter what.
This too shall pass.
Yeah.
Yes. And then we'll be complaining that it's too cold. So
Right.
anyway, let's start with what brought you to eBay? When did you start?
Okay.
Your backstory.
My backstory is, well, I was born in 64, so we're right simpatico on the age and the era.
Oh gosh, so next year's a big birthday for you.
Yes, and you know what? Actually, I am selling. I'm super selling, and I would love to go to Japan to see the cherry blossoms. So that's on my bucket list.
Wonderful.
And, yeah, and my kids were going to go to Canada. Just the three of us. So that'll be nice. But so the way I started, I think I was really born to do this. Back in the early 70s, my mom was a garage sailor. So she would throw me and my sister in the back of the Plymouth station wagon, and we would be gone for the day. You know, we'd start crying, we'd get the McDonald's, and, you know, that would shut us up for a little bit. So I was always garage sailing, thrifting with her. And I got to tell you, now my mom is 90. And she's the OG of haggling. So it's great when you bring this little white-haired old woman, you know, and nobody wants to say no to a 90-year-old, right? So she'll go and she'll see these, you know, I'm like, Mom, I really like that bedding set. You know, it's $25. See what you can do. So she'll go up to him and she'll say, can you take $5 for this? And I'm like, oh, I want to run and hide. But they'll say yes to her, you know, they don't want to hurt her feelings. So I bring her and my sister along. My sister's also a great haggler. So always have garage sales. And
so you're basically using your mother as a pawn in this situation.
Yes, and now I'm the one buying her McDonald's for lunch. So she
that's
gets
okay.
Services.
When I first started eBay, my mom was living with me because she had hip surgery, and I just went through a divorce, and so we kind of joined forces. And I did the same thing. We'd go on senior day, and she would check out and get the discount. You know, this was 20 years ago, and then I'd take her to lunch, and it worked just wonderfully.
Right. It's quality time and value time. You can't beat it. You know, it's family empire, I like to think.
Yeah, but I was just like, Mom, when you're checking out, you can't tell them what we're doing with this. Because back then, and when I first started, I was very self-conscious about, you know, what if they know what I'm doing, and what if they know I'm reselling? But really, it doesn't matter. They love resellers because we buy a lot of stuff and we're regular customers. And I would love to know the amount of money I have spent buying inventory over the lifetime of my eBay experience. And I'm sure it's over $100,000.
I mean, too bad it's not like the casinos in Las Vegas with the rewards member. I mean, we'd be gold or platinum, silver star level.
Or anywhere, you know, some of the thrift stores do a little punch card where when you fill up the card, you get something free or you get something 50% off or whatever. So I do like those loyalty programs, but unfortunately Goodwill doesn't do that.
Yeah, they're changing their mottos, you know, lately. You don't get, when I would donate, you would get a coupon for, you know, 50% off your day, but you don't get that anymore. They don't even want to give you the receipt when you donate. You know, you got to go online and download it that way. But when
some of them don't even give you a bag anymore here in the Carolinas. they've stopped doing that because that's an expense. So if you don't have your own bag and you want things in a bag, they charge you like $1.
Oh,
And
We'll be back after a quick break.
I threw away a successful business to teach people AI. My name is Jordan Wilson, and I'm the host of the Everyday AI podcast, a daily show helping you learn and leverage artificial intelligence. I used to work with big brands like Nike and Jordan Brand, and then started a successful digital agency. So why am I throwing it all away? Because everyone needs to learn AI to not get left behind. You can spend 20 hours a week learning AI on your own, or spend 20 minutes with me daily on the Everyday AI podcast. Listen wherever you get your podcasts or on everydayaipodcast.com. Let's learn together.
really,
yeah. Things are tough everywhere, I guess, right?
we don't need to go down that rabbit hole of anti-goodwill discussions.
Yeah, right. Yeah. But I will say, when we do go to Goodwill and we see something, my mom will say, "Oh, do you think Uncle Harry would like this?" And we don't have an Uncle Harry, so that's our code that would this sell on eBay without having to disclose what we're doing.
Yeah, a lot of resellers have a code word when they have a partner with them shopping. It's like, do you think grandma would like this? Or do you think in the living room? They have all these code words that
we have our ways.
But I really, at this point, reselling is so common. Back in the day, what year did you start?
Well, you know what? I've been on eBay since 2003.
Same as me. Okay.
Yeah.
So back then, we were a very rare breed. And so we were more self-conscious about people knowing what we were doing. And,
absolutely.
And my thing was, I was terrified because I thought, oh, eBay is so great. You can do it at home. You can do as much as you want. You're your own boss and all that kind of stuff. You can set your own hours. And I just thought everybody in the world was going to do this because it was so fabulous.
Right.
And I was like, I want them to know what I'm doing because they're going to copy me and they're going to get all the good stuff.
They're going to buy it, leave me nothing.
Yeah, that never happened because people are, if they don't get it, they don't want to do it. They want that guaranteed hourly job, salary job. Like, this is too risky. My whole family, nobody gets it. They think I am crazy. I think they found me on the side of the road and I don't even belong to them.
Oh.
So anyway, back to your shopping with your mom.
Oh, yeah. So, we have always done that, and was married for almost 20 years. And I thought, oh, okay, I could smell the coffee burning, or I should say the cabbage burning. And I thought, oh, you know what? I think I'm going to need some type of side hustle, because we actually did end up getting divorced. My worst fear being a single mother of two. They were in high school, but oh my gosh. So I thought I've got to come up with another stream of income. And so I really...
Yeah, and high school is a very expensive stage with... Do you have sons or daughters or one of each or what?
I have one of each.
Okay, so the boys, it's just so hard to keep them in clothes and shoes that fit. It's a very expensive age. And then they're going to be driving, and then you have all the driving lessons or all the stuff that's required to get their license, and then something for them to drive and the gas to go in the car. And it's like, you think, oh, I wasn't really a fan of changing diapers, but that was a lot easier than having teenagers.
Yeah. And, I'm very fortunate. Both of my kids are wonderful, very level-headed, very pleasant people to be around. We still get together all the time, at least once or twice a week, and have dinner and hang out. But you're expensive in high school and college. There's the homecomings, the proms, like you say, the cars, books and food and all the rest. So I ramped up and got us through that. And I've always worked since I've been 13. I've always worked. So my first job, my first life of a career was pharmacy. My father owned an independent drugstore. So I think from him, I learned customer service because, people can go anywhere and buy a tube of toothpaste cheaper, but you wanted the personal experience. So that's always helped me with my customer service with eBay and learning about medical supplies. So that helped, build the person that I am today on eBay. My second career was in a third-party debt collecting company. So I learned about how to run a business and what equipment you need. So I took that information and was able to do, headsets. And so from there, I learned a lot about office equipment, printers, cell phones, things that were out of my wheelhouse, but I got very comfortable very quick.
I just want to interject something about being a single mom raising kids, because I know there are a lot of us out there. And how old are your kids now?
Now they are 31 and 33.
Oh, wow. Okay. Mine are 27 and 29. So just exactly 2 years behind you.
Yeah.
So, you're hustling, you're doing this job, and I had been downsized out of jobs. So I just wanted something that I couldn't be downsized out of. And I was never fired for performance. It was last hired, the part-timer, we're doing away with that job, whatever. So it was very frustrating as a conscientious, dedicated, responsible worker for that to keep happening. And I think that was what pushed me into this. But when things would come up, like you said, prom, graduation parties, all those things, I would think about it. Can I go back and do this again? No, it's a one-time deal. And you would just hustle harder to come up with the money to make it happen. And I don't regret any of it. Just, I would sacrifice things for me. Like I have this joke that I lived in sweatpants for 5 years because why do I need clothes to work at home and go to Goodwill? Why do I need anything fancy? But just for the single moms out there, you're doing the right thing when you make sacrifices for your kids, because later in life, when you look back, I don't want to have any regrets. And you can't go back and raise your kids over again. And even the ones listening that have little ones, even if you're married or you have a partner, they are a time suck. But eBay's always going to be there. You can't go back and raise that baby again. So I like to encourage the single moms and the busy moms and the moms with lots of kids. Don't worry about your eBay. It'll be there for you. Pay attention to your kids, because you're going to regret it if you don't. So anyway, that's my speech. So
you can't go back.
Back to learning about printers and computers. So are those things that you sell now because you have that knowledge?
If I come across them, I definitely will, pick it up. But, getting back to, raising your kids and working at a place where you could be downsized, when the recession hit in 2008, I was downsized part-time. And, having these kids and, you ramp up the eBay, and that really, it keeps you afloat, keeps your head above water. And when I look back, I thought, oh, I'm afraid to leave the job to get insurance. I stayed at the job. I should have left then, but I lacked the confidence. Then fast forward to 5 years ago, was downsized again. And I thought, you know what, this is my sign. I'm going to go full time. So I've been full time 5 years, on my own.
Oh, really? Okay. Yeah. So full-time eBay, and we'll talk about your store and your business and all that. But I consider myself a part-timer because I'm doing all these different things for the education side and the content side. And like today is all eBay. I've got things I need to list and take care of. And that's what I want to do. I'm not going to go shopping because I still have things to list and it's going to be 95. So I'm just stay at home in air conditioning, drinking iced tea and work on my pile of stuff. Thrift stores, garage sales, they're not going anywhere. And there's no estate sales this weekend, nothing less than 30 miles away. And I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
So anyway. Okay. So you started back in 2003, and
Yeah.
do you have an eBay store?
No, at that time, I mean, you didn't even have to have pictures. And then they started charging
Right.
to post pictures and people could send you cash. So it didn't have the store. It was all auction
Well, I
at
mean,
that time. Oh.
now you have a store now.
I have a store now. Yes. It's the Gail.
Okay. And how many items are in there?
There are a little more than 2,000, a little north of
Good for
2,000.
you.
Yeah. And I think you have to have that, you have to have the variety and you have to have the quantity, I think, to be able to be full time. You know,
Mhm.
I have my my rituals, you know, every morning. I get up, make my coffee, light my candle, I send out my offers, I wake up the beast for the day because you have to be active every day on eBay.
Say a prayer to the great beyond. Please bring me some sales.
Yeah. Speaking into existence, talk to the universe a little bit, and
Right.
it's
You know,
just a
hey,
good.
if you don't ask, you don't get, right?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And you have to stay positive. And you know, that's one thing that I just look to you for because you are consistent. You're consistent, first of all. But I've bought your calendar and I have it hanging right over here.
Oh,
And you keep me motivated. I mean, there's days where you know you want to take it easy, but then I'll look and I'll say, oh, just pick 5 things off your death pile and list it. And like I can do that, and then I'll do whatever I want, but I'll do what Susanna says. Maybe we should all get that bracelet, WWSD. What would Suzanne do? So,
of here's your encouragement for the day.
oh yeah,
Because
yeah,
a lot of times it's for me. You know, I have to remind myself, okay, it's been slow this week. It'll come back. It always comes back. Keep
right.
yourself busy while you're waiting. There's nothing you can do to make people buy. I've got 3 things that sold on offer that haven't been paid for, and the time is almost up. So you're just like, people, please don't accept offers if you're not going to pay. You just want to smack them in the head because it's
Right.
you get one of them's an $80 item and you're just like you're waiting for that, and it just never comes.
Yeah. Yeah, and it
So
comes in spurts, you know. I'll get 3 $100 sales in one week. Then I'll just do my little $5 sales and then I'll get 3 returns. I haven't had returns in like 6 months, but I get hit with 3 all of a sudden. So you'll never figure it out. The only thing, you know, you can rely on is yourself to be active on it and doing. You can't worry about, you know, I know it's the summer slowdown right now, but you can't worry about it. You got to keep going forward, baby steps forward all the time.
and isn't it interesting the reasons for returns? I have a scarf coming back.
Oh,
Okay, that doesn't have to fit. That just goes around your neck. No matter what size your neck is, you can make it happen. And the lady's like, "Oh, I just didn't like it." And I'm thinking, you saw a picture of it, you saw the colors, the measurements are on there. Like, what's the problem? But that's customer service. We have to be open for returns. And it's
oh,
just like, I understand if it's a jacket that didn't fit right or something like that, you know, with clothing, but it's just sometimes you look at the reason and you're like, really? I bet this is the kind of person that always complains about their food in the restaurant, or like they're the Karen in the line at Target. That's just, you know, nothing's going to suit them. And there's just people like that. So you just have to let it roll off your back, you know, and keep going.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I had somebody return something like that. I think it was a pair of shoes, and they said they found it cheaper elsewhere. So, okay, so you're still paying the shipping to you. You're paying the return shipping to me. And did you save $1.50? But you're really paying out another $10 in the shipping? I'll never figure people out.
Well, and when that happens, you know, they paid $9 to have it shipped to them, and then they're paying to ship it back because it's not an INAD. So they're paying. So I just kind of roll my eyes and say, oh, another person who can't do math, you know, or doesn't want to do math, because me, when I order something and it doesn't work out, I just resell it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But you're thinking, okay, you spent $18 for nothing. And I don't know, that just doesn't make sense to me as a frugal person. But
Mhm.
the
Yeah,
sellers
everybody's
out there
different.
listening, they are nodding their head like, yep, that happens all the time. We don't get it, but
Mhm.
that's just what happens. So anyway, let's go back to you and your store. One more thing I wanted to ask is, with 2,000 items,
Uh-huh.
about how many do you sell a month,
Oh, wow. That is a good question.
or
And
a
I guess,
day or a week, or whatever you want to
you
talk
know
about?
what? Okay, so let's break it down daily. I'm usually shipping out 3 to 4 things a day. So if you want
Okay.
to start from there, but it changes. So what, by 30 days, so 90 to 100 things a month.
Hmm.
Did I do the math right?
That's pretty close. Yeah. Yeah. That's a
Yeah.
good estimate for 2,000 items. I was talking with another eBay seller, and she has over 5,000 items, and she sells less in a month than I do, with about 500. So I just always wonder, like, is she not selling the right things, or is she not taking offers, or I don't really know that there is a formula for, if you have this many items, this many are going to sell a month. It all depends on what you're selling and how you price and all that.
Yeah. There's no, and I used to I used to listen to the Scavenger Life. And one of
Oh, I
the
love
things,
them.
oh,
Yeah.
I was
Uh-huh.
heartbroken when they stopped podcasting. But actually, was the silver lining was I found you, so it all worked out.
Oh,
Yeah.
you were
And one
forced to look elsewhere.
force, yeah. um, and one thing they said was the amount of what you have in your store, it's not exponential. Like if you had 500 and you went up to 1,000, your sales wouldn't double. So it's a great mystery of the Sphinx. You'll never figure out, how eBay works. Their logarithm
Algorithm. Yeah.
algorithms. It is what it is. So if you have something, list it. That's all you can do. Keep listing.
And I used to listen to them all the time because they did a lot of different businesses. For the listeners, it's Jay and Ryan, and
Right.
they are in the Shenandoah Valley in Virginia. And their store is Ryan's Valley Vintage. It's RYANNE. And I still watch their store, and I think they're up to 10,000 items now.
Wow. You know what?
They just keep
I
going.
think I think one of the things that my husband and I want to do is we want to go down there, and they've opened up a coffee shop. So I'd love
Yes.
to say, hey, I'm a trash elf. Let's have some coffee.
Yeah. And I think they have 2 Airbnbs now,
Yeah.
last time I checked. So anyway, this isn't really a plug for them. It's just people that we knew. But yeah, they did a podcast. They had some like 400 episodes. They did it
Yeah.
for a long time, and it was on YouTube, and then the podcast networks when that started ramping up. But yeah, they're in an area where they just find all this old stuff, and um, they'll sell anything, and they really hustled it. So I do miss their podcast, but
Mhm.
you can still watch their store and see what they're doing, because they're still going strong.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and they also promoted, the way of life. If you're going to be selling on eBay full time, Jay would always talk about, Ryan making something in the crock pot and they were going to eat on it all week, So,
Mhm.
you have to plan what you're gonna eat, your little treats for the day, how you're gonna keep yourself healthy and motivated and enjoy what you're doing.
Or they're like, we have to chop wood today. It's the middle of the summer, so they're getting their wood ready for the winter to burn in their cast iron stove, because I don't think they had
Right.
central heat.
Yeah. Yeah. They want a
They
heating
were
bill.
like, they're like homesteading. They're like
Mm.
pioneers.
Yeah. And they
And
raise
good
bees.
for them.
We'll be back after a quick break.
Hey, Rebecca, do you know my favorite topic that we've become experts on is?
Hey, Jackie, I think I know what your favorite topic is. Ghost hunting.
Spooky. But no.
I give up.
You really want to become an expert on this?
Jackie.
My favorite We're Experts Now topic is all of them.
Yeah, you're totally right. From the romance of intimacy coordination to the physical torture of going to boot camp, our guests have some pretty unique lived experiences.
Tune in Tuesdays for weekly episode releases of We're Experts Now to find out what the people need to know more about.
Check out We're Experts Now podcast wherever you listen to podcasts so you can be an expert too. And don't forget to stay curious.
Oh, they have bees?
They had bees, yeah. And Ryan would sell the wax and the propolis, or that it's a very healthy offshoot of what bees produce in the hive.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So here we are off track again, but I do watch their store because I'm just amazed at how much stuff they have, but they do have unlimited storage. I think they have like an extra building, and they have a lot of room for things, and they don't care if it takes 4 years to sell.
Oh yeah.
They're in the long haul.
Yeah.
So
I've got things in my store that 2016. Actually, I just sold some driving moccasins. And it's funny, as much as I say I want out of the shoe business, I want out of the clothes, too much measuring, too much, but I will always pick up a pair of men's leather driving moccasins. Those always go for big bucks, and they're easy to clean up and put out. But
I know, I don't think you can make an all or nothing statement. It just depends on what the item is, because clothing is definitely more work. But if it's something like a St. John suit or a Coogie sweater or something that can sell for over $200, okay, I'm going to look at that,
Right.
I'm going to get that.
Yeah.
So, okay. So 2,000 items. Good for you. All right. Now, so what kinds of things are your best sellers?
I think my bread and butter is craft kits. I'm a needle pointer, so I know what a high-end piece looks like. I've gotten into punch hook, cross stitch, and there's nothing easier to list and sell and ship than a craft kit. There's nothing to break. The contents are listed. You can buy them for 25 cents to $1. Sell them. If there's others on eBay, what it's going to go for. You can do a buy it now. If there's something mid-century modern you can't find, okay, that's an auction. And crafters are a special breed. We want what we want, and we're not afraid to pay for it. So I've had auctions go up to 200 for some mid-century modern craft kits, new and package.
Yeah, crafters are, let's call them craft enthusiasts, not craft hoarders, because you just want to do all these projects. So you buy the kit and you may never get to it because it's like being a kid in a candy store sometimes. I remember I was into all that in the 90s before I had kids and I had time to do it. And it was just, I'd go to Michael's or Hobby Lobby or whatever and just buy all these things. And I ended up selling a lot of them on eBay when I started, because I'm like, I don't have time for this anymore. I'm never going to do this. So let me pass it on to somebody who will.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then they become discontinued, or, a company goes out of business, or somebody wants to make that exact thing because they had it and want to make it again to give to somebody else or whatever it is. So they're very specific in what they're looking for.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And the other thing I like to sell is the medical supplies. And one story that really got me started on the road to thinking, oh, this could be a business. I was at a church sale, and they have the nicer section. They call it, the boutique. Well, there's a little box, and I open up the box, and there's a beautiful pink breast in the box. And I'm, what is that? And I'm like, okay, that's a mastectomy form,
Right.
You had breast cancer and had to have a breast removed. You place it in the bra. Well, there's no price on it. So I took it up to the gentleman in charge, just an old grandpa, and I kind of showed it to him, and I said, "How much is this?" He goes, "What is that, honey?" And I said, "Well, here," and I just showed it to him, and he's, "Oh, just like a vampire."
Hey, it's a fake boob. That's what it is.
Like a vampire. I showed him a piece of garlic. He recoiled. And I'm like, yeah.
He was so offended.
Yeah. He goes, "Oh, give me $1." So
give me $1 and then get out of here.
Right. So I bought a boob in a box for $1, and I ended up selling it. I put it up for auction, and it ended up selling for $100. So good for me, good for the person who needed it, because at the time, we're talking, 20 years ago, those were going for like $300. I think now the price is down, but I really like selling the medical supplies because somebody out there needs that. Mm-hmm. It's good for both of us.
Well, and the mastectomy clothing is also another thing. Yeah. I don't know if you know about the Land's End mastectomy swimwear. It's got pockets in the chest where you can put the things in there. So, a lot of people are in between. They've had the surgery, but they haven't had the reconstructive surgery. Because I think those are two separate things.
Right.
But I found one the other day. It was a paddle suit, which it's like a leotard with long sleeves, and you wear it to aqua fitness or actually paddle boarding, or they have a lot of aqua classes now. But if it will say MAST on the tag, so that it's the mastectomy, and then you look inside, and sure enough, there's the pockets you can put the forms in. So people are looking for stuff like that.
Oh, yeah. And I've come across a lot of the bras, nursing bras too, also go, but the mastectomy bras. And again, that's something that you can pick up for, 50 cents, $1. Sometimes there'll be a bag. I love to buy things in lots and go through it. And sometimes I sell things individual. Sometimes I sell it as a lot. So sometimes I want some room back in the house. So I just go ahead and send it off.
Okay, so let's elaborate on medical items. Just for the listeners, you cannot sell anything that requires a prescription. So like the CPAP machines, prescription medication, stuff like that. So what do you sell, obviously, that's allowed?
Okay. Well, you cannot sell the CPAP, but you can sell the nasal cushions. You can sell parts to it.
Okay.
You can sell some tubing. The other things that I look for are bandages, dressings for wound care. That's huge. And it's very easy because right on the package or the label, it'll say prescription only, not for resale. So you really can't, screw it up. But so I'm trying to think what else. Yeah,
I think there must be a CPAP graveyard, because a lot of people have those machines and then they might have a surgery and not need it anymore, or unfortunately pass away. And like, what do you do with it? There's really nothing to do with it that I'm aware of.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I've tried to even donate them to the Goodwill and they don't want it. But I think I'm going to have to get in touch with a more of a medical outreach, like the Doctors Without Borders. Maybe,
Okay.
An association like that would be able to take the prescription items. Something worth looking.
Okay, yeah, this discussion comes up a lot on the Facebook group, where it's kind of a gray area. Like, you can't sell the machine, but you can sell the accessories, and then people disagree on that. And I think the eBay rule is even not really clear, but so people just kind of stay away from them. But I have seen all of the like the boots and the hinged braces and all those things for recovering from a knee replacement, or arm slings and all that kind of stuff. Is that what you sell?
I can do that. I've sold an artificial leg.
Really?
Now, whether that was going to somebody who needed it or somebody that was, into steampunk sculpture, maybe it went to an artist. I don't know. I don't question. I love them all. But, things that you don't think sell. It's just a matter of time.
Well, I do pass by a lot of the boots like that have the hard plastic. Maybe if you had a broken ankle, you had to wear that because they can be pretty disgusting. And it's like,
Yeah.
ugh. Yeah, they
Yeah.
get kind of nasty.
Yeah, I've been trying not to get caught up in the moment and like, oh, ugh, get it. Now I'm to the point where I'll get everything, maybe put it in my cart, or before I check out at the church sale or garage sale, I'm really going to take a minute and I'm really going to look at it. I'm going to see if it's dirty. I'm going to see if it's ripped. I'm going to make sure the zipper works. That's like, I'm famous for
Yeah,
that.
I forget that one too.
Yeah. If you buy a duvet cover, are all the buttons there? Just slow my roll a little bit.
Right. I hear you on that. Okay. Now we need to get into the part about your fame and what happened.
Okay.
So, and this is the inspiration for this podcast because you emailed me about this incident and I'm like, oh, we need to get you on the podcast and talk about it.
Well, I was able to cross something off my bucket list, and it's all due to my current husband. We met, we've been together 12 years, and I knew it was love. We met online. We were dating 3 months. And we were driving home and they were cleaning out somebody's house and everything was on the curb. And I'm thinking to myself, oh my gosh, after this date, I've got to go and dumpster dive on their front lawn. And we passed and he said, we should really come back later tonight and go through that pile of stuff. I'm like, I love you. I didn't say it out loud, but I was thinking it.
He's like,
right?
Let's get a U-Haul and come back.
Yeah, this is love. And it didn't hurt that he had a pickup truck and he's a CPA. So he does my taxes. So he's my partner.
That is a match made in heaven for sure.
Right? I hit the jackpot. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's my partner in crime. And he emailed the Antique Roadshow. They were coming to Akron like 2 months ago. So he emailed for tickets. He won 2 tickets. You can bring somebody with you, and each person can bring 2 items. So, we're scouring through the house, like, what are we going to bring? What are we going to bring? He had some oil paintings and from, the artist Archibald Willer. He did the Spirit of 76. He did some other oil paintings. So Ron had that. And I was trying to think, what do I have? Well, that's kind of a long story of how I purchased these. Went to an online auction and they posted all the pictures. So in this picture, I see this corner of a little bit of a bamboo frame. I'm like, oh, that's probably something tiki, mid-century modern bamboo wall hanging. So I try to do my research before I go. And I see that's exactly what it is. And these go for $100. So I go to the auction specifically for that. And that was in person. So I'm waiting. And as they're auctioning, they have just tables of stuff. And there's a little Victorian postcard sitting up against a shoebox. So I bid $1 on it. Nobody bids against me. I win. I go to pick up my postcard. And the guy's like, oh no, you won that whole you won the whole shoebox. Like, okay. So I take the shoebox home with me. I start going through it. And lo and behold, I see 4 postcards from Fred Rogers. And these are post dated 1966. So
like the Mr. Rogers, Fred Rogers?
Yes, Mr. Rogers. And they're
Mr. Rogers' Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood, right?
And it sure is. But I'm trying to research to see if this was really, his handwriting, but he's saying, hi friend, thanks for writing me. He's thanking probably a little boy for writing into the show, but it's also his personal correspondence to his family. And he's thanking somebody, thanks for sending me the clippings and the news articles, because it's too expensive to pay for the service. And he's still in Pittsburgh at this time. And he's asking his relatives, so what about the Cleveland market? Do you think they'd be interested in my new show? So I started research, tried to make sure that this handwriting is his handwriting, and he has beautiful handwriting. If you want to see, I can show you real quick.
Oh, I bet and that's a lost art, is penmanship cursive
Right.
writing.
So here's an example.
Oh, that is nice.
It's very different. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I thought, oh, I'll take that in. And I also have a sampler from 1843. I'll take that in. So we go, and gentleman, sees my postcards, and I have to say it is so well orchestrated how the Antique Roadshow does their functions. I mean, you park your car, you take a shuttle, they tell you which section to take your item to. He's looking at it and he's researching and he's going back and forth and back and forth, and I'm thinking, oh, he's going to tell me this is counterfeit and he's going to call the police and I'm going to be arrested. So very deadpan. I'm like, oh, and I'm just so nervous. So he finally looks up and he says, "You want to be on TV?" And I said, "Oh, I guess that's what I'm here for." So yeah.
Well,
So
how do I look? Do I look
right?
TV worthy?
So then he calls a producer, and the producer goes over and they ask you about your story again. And she's like, "Oh, honey, I love that story." So they send you to the green room and they put some makeup on you. They do your hair, make sure you're looking halfway decent. And then you have to wait and wait and wait. And then they finally set up postcards. I was outdoors. And then the appraiser comes, and the producer says, "Okay, there's like 5 cameras set up, and they mic you, and they put a pair of headphones on Ron so he could hear everything as we're talking." And he goes, "Okay, now you see all those cameras?" And I'm like, "Yeah." He goes, "Never look at them again. Now you're just going
Don't
to
look into them.
Don't look at. You're just going to sit down and have a conversation." So he explains what's going on with the postcards. I tell my story, how I found them, and then as soon as they start rolling, like rigor mortis just sets in on my face. I was so nervous, and I'm looking into the sun, and I'm sure I'm a sight to see. But it takes around 10-15 minutes. And then you're done. He tells you what it's worth, which, right now I can't share with you because, it hasn't aired yet.
This Antiques Roadshow was recently? The filming was recently?
Oh yeah, it was in June. So this.
Oh, okay. I thought this was a long time ago.
Oh,
so,
no.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Yeah, this just happened, I think, in June. And they're saying that, there's a 99% chance I'll be on. But I'm thinking, this is the godfather of public television. I think they're going to, want to show that. But they're saying anywhere between January and May of next year.
Okay.
So that's my hopefully my fame. But an interesting side note, the sampler that I brought in from 1843, that appraiser said, "You know what, it's nice and it's old, but you know what? People are really looking for her mother. They want this girl's mother. That's how old they want. They want, 1820. He goes, "Normally I see these for $100 or $200. I'm like, "Okay, cool." So I thought, okay, that I can do it myself on eBay. I'll list that myself. So I started an auction at $199, got a hit right away. And then, half hour before the end of the auction, I always try to do my auction Sunday to Sunday. Last half hour, it went up and it sold for $1,265. So,
oh my.
And I contacted the person. I said, "Can I ask why this was so special?" And she said, "You know what? It was the pictures. There was trees and flowers, and it was a Victorian piece. And it turned out that when I did my research, it was an ode. It was mourning ode. Somebody had died, so this little girl had written a poem to somebody, and there was the names that I had listed. So you just never know. Nobody knows everything. That's the other thing that I like,
Right. Yes. You're always
You
learning.
have to learn for yourself sometimes.
Yeah. And what people want changes. Some things stay the same, but other things change. So what we need to do is once that episode airs is have you back on, and then you can talk more about the value of Mr. Rogers' handwriting.
Right. You know what? And then also I've reached out. There's a local auction here. And I said, do you think this is of any value? And she said, no, that's not nothing. So now I'm thinking, now that I have this roadshow experience and information that they've given me, you know what, I do enjoy it, but I think I need to send it out into the wild and let a true lover of Mr. Rogers own it.
Mm-hmm. I like that idea.
Yeah.
Okay, well, yeah, because we're all going to want to know when it aired, and it'll probably be on YouTube after it airs. I think they put a lot of their stuff on YouTube.
Right.
Or you can find it recorded somewhere. So
Right.
we can all look forward to that in the coming months, because now I'm very, very interested in the value they gave you. So we are almost at the end, and I let my guests pick what kind of question they want to answer. Just kind of shows your personality. And so what are you going to talk about?
Okay, well, I wanted to recommend a podcast, but I also have a quick joke. And this is from my son, so thank you, Ross. Okay. Why didn't the green pepper do archery?
Have no idea.
Because he didn't have an arrow.
Oh, that's a bad one.
Wah, wah.
I'm going to counter that with, why don't cannibals eat clowns? Right, because they taste funny. Good. And then you wanted to talk about one other thing.
Okay. Well, when I was doing the Antiques Roadshow, when I was at the venue, they have a lot of banners promoting other podcasts and shows that they do. And one podcast that they do that I had never heard of was called Detours. So it's a behind the scenes look at, what happens after they pack up and go on to the next city, or it could be what's happened with an item that they've appraised. There's a couple, one did a Tiffany lamp and it got stolen. So they're talking about the recovery of the lamp. They get more in depth with some of the stories that the guests bring on. They go in depth about a Holocaust survivor and their stolen artwork from their family, and getting involved with the FBI on how to get back their artwork. So very, very historical, very interesting, and it's what we do, all about our hidden treasures.
And stolen treasures, it just makes you think, what is wrong with these people that do that? Steal things to resell them, or it's going to show up somewhere.
Karma, man.
Yeah, watch out.
You know what
for
they
that.
say about karma? You can't, it's people have no soul sometimes, it seems.
What's that joke? Karma's only a bleep if you are.
Oh, I like that. That sounds like a good bumper sticker.
Yeah, I've seen that. So, hey, what goes around comes around. So, okay, well, that hour went by really fast, and I'm so glad that you agreed after a little hesitation to come on. So what was your experience? Was this comfortable for you? Did you enjoy it?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I have a list. I made a list, and I'm still like, oh, we gotta hit that. We gotta hit that. But yeah, like you say, the hour goes so quick. I was very nervous, but it's just talking with my friend that I haven't met yet. How I always say, you're my Wednesday friend, and I always plan my errands on a Wednesday because I want to hear your podcast as I drive around. So you're a lovely human being.
We'll save that list, because I'm going to circle back and want to know when your episode airs on Antiques Roadshow, so we can tell the world, because I know resellers are going to be interested in seeing that, not only you on camera, but your item and how much it appraised for. So that will be the mystery until your episode airs, and we'll regroup and talk about that.
Oh, I would love to. Thank you so much. And again, I just love what you do. I mean, you're just fantastic.
Well, thank you so much. Okay, well, are you What are you doing today? Are you going to go out treasure hunting, or are you working on the death pile, or
You know
what's
what? Actually, I take care of my mom and dad, and so doctor's appointments, a lot of that's going on. So Friday, it's a death pile. It's a death pile today, and I'm doing some cleaning of some items. Going out to dinner Friday is still date night for us. So
Good. So you're doing the behind the scenes eBay stuff and then rewarding yourself with going out to dinner. And I'm so happy that you found someone and that you're happy and you're in alignment. And I'm just going to put this out there. I'm still looking for husband number 2, but my standards are really high because he needs to be a brain surgeon and moonlight as an underwear model.
yeah. Well, you know what? Speak that out to the universe. Put it, speak it into
existence. Who knows? Who knows what will show up now?
Yeah.
So, okay. Well, thank you again for coming on, and we will be back in touch to hear about your results of your Antiques Roadshow.
Thank you, Suzanne.
Okay.
You have a great
day.
Right,
bye.
Bye.
Thanks again, Gail, for coming on the podcast and sharing your fame with us. We will definitely check back in after your episode has aired on Antiques Roadshow and talk more about that experience and go over some of the questions that we didn't even get to in this podcast. Okay, on to today's trivia question. It absolutely must be about Fred Rogers. The question is, what was Fred Rogers' professional background before his famous TV show? Here are a few seconds to think about it. Born in Latrobe, Pennsylvania, Rogers earned a bachelor's degree in music from Rollins College in 1951. He was also a Presbyterian minister. A few more things. He was red-green colorblind. Both of those colors looked the same to him. So he couldn't even see that his sweater or the trolley were actually red. He wore sneakers on the set because they made less noise than dress shoes. And he went swimming every single morning before work. I read his memoir a few years ago, and despite being the butt of many jokes during his life, he really was a fascinating, kind, generous, and genuinely caring person. Next week, my guest is Sally, who is also fascinating in her own right and has some gigantic sales to share. So make sure to tune in for that. Thank you all for listening and making this podcast part of your day. Make it a great week on eBay and in life. Bye, everybody.